Good morning, America, how are you? Said, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done, dealing card games with the old man in the club car.
Hey there friends, how's it going? This is David Potts with Song Notes, and today we're going to look at the city of New Orleans. Standard tuning, get your guitar tuned up, and we're going to use chord shapes in the key of G. There's a couple tricky chords, but I'll show you easier ways to do those that don't require any barring. So let's jump right on into this one, okay? I'm going to play through the verse now. I'll just do a down strum on each 1 count and 3 count, okay? And you can follow along with me. Now the chords for the verse we're going to need are our G, our D, our E minor, and our C. And when you see me do the G, you might see me play it like this with 2 fingers. It's just a habit I have where I sort of am muting the 5th string with this finger. I have a separate lesson teaching you. If you don't know this technique, it's so fast to switch to. It sounds just as good in my opinion, and it frees up these 2 fingers to do some magic while you're playing there. So anyway, with those 4 chords, we can play the verse. So that would sound like this, right? 1, 2, ready, go. Riding on the city of New Orleans. 2 measures of G, then E minor, Illinois Central. Monday morning rail, 2 measures of G again. And then we repeat that whole thing with one exception. G, 3, 4, D, 2, restless riders. 4, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, E minor. Then to D this time, then to G, okay? So the verse is really just these 2 sections, right, that kind of repeat. There's only one chord that's different in the first half and second half. It's the third to last chord. The first time you go through, it's Illinois Central, Monday morning rail, right? The E minor to C to D, to G to G. But then the last line, it's E minor, 3 conductors, and 25 sacks of mail, right? E minor to D to G to G, okay? So that's every verse of the song is going to use those 4 lines. So you understand them now. I'll show you more fancy strumming in a minute, but let's get through the pre-chorus next. So the pre-chorus, a couple new chords here. We'll need E minor, we already know. Now B minor is going to be the tricky one here. 2nd, 4th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. It's a bar chord. If you can't play it, I have an alternative for you. Now, if you want to learn it, I do have videos teaching you this, so check out on the links in the description of this video or on my website. But an easier way to play B minor, if you can't do it, is 2nd, open, 2nd, open, 2nd. This is a B minor 7, and I think it mostly works in this song, in this circumstance, right? So we would do E minor 2, 3, 4, E minor 2, 3, 4. This is the easier version of B minor. Then we go to D for 2 measures. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then A major. 3, 4, 1, 2. Let me sing here. Passing trains that have no name. Freight trains full of old black men. And the graveyard of the rusted automobiles. So what happened there in the 4th line is I'm starting off on D. 1, 2, 3, 4. D7. 2, 3, 4 to G. 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, I'll play the whole pre-chorus again in one smooth thing here with singing, and you hear how that sounds. But basically, notice how the 1st and 3rd lines are the same. It's just E minor for 2 measures, then B minor for 2 measures, and we always go to D next, right? But it's the way the 2nd and the 4th line end, where it's a little bit different. Okay, let's do that one more time. So. All along the southbound Odyssey, the train pulls out at Kankakee and rolls along past houses, farms, and fields. 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4. Passing trains that have no name and freight yards full of old black men and a graveyard of the rusted automobile. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. One cool trick here about the E to B minor, if you can play the bar chord, notice how if you play the E minor with your middle and ring finger here, when you slide up to when you play the B minor next, you can keep your ring finger there. You're sort of sliding it up. it just makes the transition a little bit easier because this finger is already on the string it needs to be on. So you just sort of slide it from 2nd to 4th fret, and it just gives you, I don't know, I find it easier than if you were to take your fingers off completely and have to sort of reorient everything. It sort of gives you a sort of physical, what's the word, anchor point or something you can sort of fixate on when you're making that transition. So those little things are little cool things to take advantage of. It makes changes easier. But let's get to the chorus of this song because it has the best line. Good morning, America, how are you? Right? So that first line, it's just one measure of C, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to go to E minor, don't you know me? I'm your native son. Then to D, I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. Okay, here's where it gets a little bit tricky later on, but for now, I'm gonna keep it simple. We're just gonna go, I'm the train they call the city of E minor, New Orleans. Then to A, and I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. Now, what I did there is going from the A to the next chord, which is an F. Okay, you can play a full 6-string barred F if you want. I keep it simple though. I just like to do the middle 4 strings, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. Okay, you also could just do strings 4, 3, and 2. Just as frets 3, 2, and 1. If you can only play those strings, that's great. Or you can even leave the thinnest string open if you want to do an F major 7, right? You don't need to do the full barred F. You can totally keep it simple with that sort of middle 4 strings or just the 3-string version. I have a whole separate lesson teaching you the F. I have a bunch of different ways to play it along with a print-friendly PDF showing you pictures and tabs. If you want to learn some non-barred versions, check that out. It'll help you, okay? Now, let me play through the chorus again, just using that simple version. There's a walk down we can do here later, but I want to show you the simple version for now. So, 1, 2, ready, go. Good morning. I lost my key center, so we're in the key of G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ready, go. Good morning, America, how are you? Said, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's all you're gonna need for the entire song. I taught you each progression. You can now play the 2nd and 3rd verses and pre-choruses and choruses, right? Using what I taught you there. But now let's look at the strumming, okay? And then after I show you strumming, I'll show you a cool thing you can do in the chorus there with that walk down, right? On the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. That captures that sort of walk down sound. But first, let's look at the strumming. So I showed you the sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Start with that. Be able to play all the chords and everything and get through the song if you can, or at least each progression. But if you want to amp it up, there's a couple options you have. One is you could do a sort of folk strum, right? A sort of down, down, up, down, 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 up. Up, down, up, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and when you're doing that, the verse, I'll just play a little bit of the verse, would sound like this, right? Riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central, Monday morning rail, 15 cars, 15 restless riders, 3 conductors, and 25 sacks of mail. When you do that, keep your up strums light and brushy. You don't need to do a stiff, firm pick up strum. You can sort of just brush those thinnest couple strings. You don't need to strum all the strings, especially on the up strums, okay? Now, another one I want to show you here is a sort of, it uses bass note strumming, where we're going to do a bass down, down, up, bass down, up, bass down, up, bass down, up, up. This requires you to be able to target the bass note on each chord you're playing, which can be tricky, especially on the D. when you sort of have to play the 4th string before you do the rest of the chords. That can be tricky, but let me show you what that sounds like. That's sort of how I prefer to do it. Let's do the pre-chorus. So all along the southbound Odyssey, the train pulls out of Kankakee, rolls along past houses, farms, and fields, passing trains that have no names, and freight yards full of old black men, and graveyards of the rusted automobiles. I'll do a little bit of chorus too, right? Good morning, America, how are you? Said, don't you know me? I'm your native son. Okay, so a quick note here about this sort of chorus section where we let the chord ring. When we get to that D, we don't want to strum the full measure of the D. You want to, on the 2 count, let the D ring. So I do a bass note. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. Now, it gets tricky when you have to target those bass notes, especially with some of those quicker changes. If you muffle them, meaning you hit the wrong bass note or you hit more than one string, that's okay. Just keep going, keep your tempo, keep your groove. Never sacrifice the groove or the tempo, okay? A flubbed bass note is not going to make a big deal. Another option for strumming is you could do a sort of like a train-like strum, kind of like the Johnny Cash, like the boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chicka. It's going to require more bass note stuff, but you could do it as simple as a bass down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That would sound like this. Riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central, Monday morning rail. And you could tweak this a little bit in 2 different ways. One is you could add an up strum after each big down strum. So bass down, up, bass down, up, bass down, up, bass down. 15 cars, 15 restless riders, 3 conductors, 25 sacks of mail. And one more way you could amp this up is to use alternating bass notes, meaning on the 1 and the 3 count, we're gonna jump from the bass note of the chord to a different string. Now, I'm not gonna show it for every single chord in this song, but just to give you an idea of what it sounds like is you do a... So for the G, I'm going between the 6th and the 4th string. We're riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central, Monday morning rail. If you're interested in this, the sort of alternating bass note stuff, I'll put some links in the description of this video to help you out, right? I have a bunch of lessons teaching you different strumming techniques like this. I don't know if it works great for this song. It does sort of somewhat capture the vibe, but the strumming pattern I would recommend is what I showed you earlier is this bass down, down, up, down, up, right? The bass down, down, up, down, up, bass down, down, up, down, up, bass down, down, up, down, up, bass down. We're riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central, Monday morning rail. In the full playthrough I'll use that version for the most part, and you can sort of see how that sounds. Now, the last thing I want to show you here is how to do this sort of chorus walk down thing. So if you hear, I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans, and I'll be gone 10,000 miles when the day is done. 500 miles, not 10,000. What I'm doing there is basically, you can see it in the progression, is on the E minor, I'm doing this E minor with a D bass note, which is kind of just the thinnest 4 strings open. Then our A becomes an A over C sharp, which is tricky to play, and I don't really ever do this if I can help it. 4, 2, 2, 2. And then we go to our F, to our C over an E bass note. So just think of a C, but you're only playing the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string. Then we go to our D bass note. Now that probably sounded like a lot really quickly. Let me show you this tab here and just play it, right? I'm the train they call the city of of New Orleans. And I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. Now, in reality, for practical terms, I don't play the A over C sharp. This is never a chord that I'm like a fan of playing because it doesn't sound as bright and open, given this is a song full of open chords, right? Where lots of strings ringing and stuff. This one, it's hard to play, it requires barring, it requires stretching. It just doesn't have that bright sound. So in this case, what I'll do is I'll do a G, a D, and then on E minor, I'll only play the thinnest 4 strings, right? Bass note, then I'll do a open 4th string, and then all the other strings are open too, that E with a D bass note. Then I'll just go to a regular A, then I'll go to an F, then a C, then a D. Okay, now if you can sort of like target those highlighted bass notes that I have here, in any of the chords, even if it's just the E minor, it kind of gives a suggestion of that walk down. It's a nice little just way to sort of give some character to that part. So let me do it again. I'll do it nice and slow. I'll sort of show you the simple way to do it. Okay, so I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 10,000 miles when the day is done. I don't know why I keep saying 10,000. So that's how you're going to do that if you want to do it. I have it penciled in my page 1, and I also have it penciled in my chord progression, just so you understand that E minor over D. So the E minor over D, A, then the F. You could just do a regular C. It kind of gives the same effect. Our ears are sort of good at picking out those inferred walk downs, right? When you go from F to C to D, you in those chords you have that F note, you have the E note in the C, and you have the D note in the D. So it's our ears kind of just good to hear in that, right? So, but if you can target those bass notes, it helps. All right, so now let's do a playthrough of the whole thing from start to finish. I'm gonna do this at my own pace and just sort of use the strumming that I feel comfortable using. So you can see how it sounds when you put it all together. All right, let's do it.
Riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central, Monday morning rail. 15 cars and 15 restless riders, 3 conductors and 25 sacks of mail. All along the southbound Odyssey, the train goes out of Kankakee and rolls along past houses, farms, and fields, passing trains that have no name and freight yards full of old black men and the graveyard of the rusted automobiles. Good morning, America, how are you? Said, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. Dealing card games with the old man in the club car. Penny a point, ain't no one keeping score. Pass the paper bag that holds on the bottle. Feel the wheels rumble beneath the floor. And the sons of Pullman porters and the sons of engineers ride their father's magic carpets made of steel. And the mothers with their babes asleep, rocking with the gentle beat, and the rhythm of the rails is all they feel. Good morning, America, how are you? Said, they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. Nighttime on the city of New Orleans, changing cars in Memphis, Tennessee. Halfway home, we'll be there by morning. Through the Mississippi darkness, rolling down to the sea. And all the towns and people seem to fade into a bad dream, and the steel rails still ain't heard the news. And conductor sings his songs again, and the passengers will please refrain. This train's got to disappear in the railroad blues. Good night, America, how are you? Said, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day's done. Good morning, America, how are you? Don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day's done.
I have a song sheet available. It's 3 pages. It's made with absolute love and care. I can show you a little real life preview here. Page 1 gives you the lyrics for the full song with all the chords written above them. Very nice and handy if you were going to play this one live and you just want to sort of cheat because it's a lot of words. Page 2 shows you the chord shapes and a bunch of strumming options mapped out for you. And then page 3 is going to get into the chord progressions as well as the at the very bottom, that walk down tab there. Okay, so I have many other of these song sheets. I'm so proud of these guys. I hope these are helpful for you. You can find the list over on my website, playsongnotes.com, and I have tons of instructional lessons as well. The instructional lessons will help you with things like, bass note strumming or strumming with alternating bass notes, or, easier ways to play the F chord or easier ways to play the B minor chord. I have tons and tons of content there, and I make my instructional PDFs available to my members. So if you want to take your guitar playing, up a little bit in your confidence and get to that next level, as everyone says, check that out. I hope you find the stuff I make helpful, and I have a lot of stuff. If you like this song, I think you'll like a lot of my lessons. But until then, my friends, take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.